Flight boss, bitch. You know, for sure. You're now listening to the Mind of an Terry Smooth, Flight boss, the Archangel Uriel, and I'm here to carry out God duties and motherfucking responsibilities. And right now we're gonna talk about the flight astrological revamp of Gemini for 2018. You see what I'm saying? So this is Gemini in a nutshell. Gemini in a flight shell. Or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So this is the overall aspect and the energetic archetype of Gemini in general. So this is all you need to know. Now, let's start it off. Gemini is created by the third house. So what is the third house? The third house is your surroundings. All things that's familiar to you. So that could be a person, place, or thing, gift, talent, trade, trait, whatever you have accumulated and learned based upon your surroundings, neighbors, friends, family. All things in your surroundings and correlated to what you're familiar with. As long as you're familiar with it and they're familiar with you, or it's familiar with you, it is what it is. That's the third house. So, boom, that's an energetic life vibration. That's a piece of the Gemini archetype also. So, what else? Gemini is ruled by Mercury. So what is Mercury? Mercury is about thinking, communicating, analyzing your mind. You see what I'm saying? How you move within the mind. It also can be the steering wheel to your spaceship in the astral realm. You see what I'm saying? Now, so it's going to be dealing with curiosity. You know what I'm saying? Wanting to see the instructions, the details of something, and analyzing something. So that's Mercury. So all that energy is added in to the, is added into the game package of Gemini also. Now, Jupiter is away. Now, when a planet is away, I like to say it's at work. It's at a place that it don't really like to be at, but it has to utilize the tools that it has in order to get the job done. So, you know, it's just in an area, a location where it's forced to have to do things that it doesn't necessarily want to do at the time. But let's talk about Jupiter. What is Jupiter? Jupiter is one's experiences, which cause expansion, whether the experience is good or bad. And the reason why it causes expansion, and expansion is ultimately good, because within these experiences you're able to have new meanings and reasonings and higher meanings, and being able to put higher meanings and reasonings to your life or the circumstance or the experience that you went through, and you're able to extract wisdom and knowledge out at the same time. So that expands the mind. So Jupiter is overall a bit beneficial, whether it has to take you to a negative or positive experience. Now, this is like an overall experience. Now, what happens here is it's a way. So what builds on to the archetype of Gemini is Jupiter is in a place it doesn't like to be, because when Jupiter likes to sit back and understand the overall aspect of something, extract wisdom and knowledge of something, you know, Gemini is more curious, more analytical, more logic, more likes to think, more likes to communicate, more likes to relate. Remind you, wisdom and knowledge comes from within. You understand what you gain wisdom and knowledge through your experience and how you formulate it within yourself. You see what I'm saying? But Mercury is dealing more with relating and what things mean and the instructions of things and what do that experience mean, not the feeling and the shapeless formless of the experience. What is the word for that experience? You see what I'm saying here? So Jupiter is in a place where that the wisdom and knowledge has to be presented in a way that it can be related, and that could be dealing with communication, dealing with language, dealing with schooling, dealing with what you have learned. You know what I'm saying? If you can't put what you have experienced in none of these realms of realities, it won't make sense to a Gemini. You see what I'm saying? So, and then Geminis may lack the Gemini archetype also may lack the ability to add higher meanings and reasonings to things, and higher meanings and reasonings to their experiences that they went through, and the wisdom and knowledge that they have got. They may have problems with trying to tie higher meanings and reasonings to why that happened and things of that nature. And they just like to think and keep an open mind and keep it free. Where on the other hand, Jupiter here, you know what I'm saying, is forced to do that. And Jupiter don't like to do that. Jupiter likes to understand the experience and likes to gain the wisdom and knowledge and add higher meanings and reasonings to the experience. But remind you, meanings and reasonings and wisdom, and that's tied around morals and what you think was right to do or not. That's correlated within yourself. That's not really correlating to relating to others. So you see the dynamic really shifty here. And this is what makes Geminis become very smart. But then other people will look at them as airheads. With they're not, well, all air signs is airheads, but not how. I'm not saying that as in the way how y'all think an airhead is. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, that's for the most part. Now, now for an example, and we could do it. We could do a quick example real quick, because my father's a Gemini and my mother's a Virgo, and they're both Libra moons. But at the same time, this can kind of give you a perspective. Okay, I think my dad used to be into a lot of Star Trek and things of that nature, and shows on the learning channels and things of that nature, dealing with the stars and things of that nature. But if I was to come and try to add higher meaning and reasoning to things with my Sag moon and my fire and my Aries sun and Leo ascendant, the moment I come trying to add some philosophy or say the stars really mean something, or this, that, and the third, and they really alive, and add all this other esoteric things to it, then that's when I may lose my father. You see what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying now? So it's like we into the same thing, but just in two different ways. So he may know about the stars in ways of supernovas and this, that, and the third, and astronomy and this, that, and the third, and other shit like that, which you don't, but I'm just making examples of the Gemini energy. He may be able to explain this, that, and the third. Then the Sag will come and try to explain it on, oh, but it's a meaning or reason into why it's rotating and why the star explodes to this nature, and it's higher and lower hierarchies to this, that, and third. And it's truly they're into the same thing, just two different outlooks. You got a logical aspect, a left brain aspect of it, then which will be the air, and you have the right brain aspect of it, which will be the fire. You see what I'm saying? So then yeah, so Jupiter is away. Now this is air, so this is an air sign, right? So air represents thinking, communicating, you know what I'm saying, in ways, shapes, and forms, and analyzing. So it's correlated to, like, Mercury share this energy, but Mercury likes to make it concrete. You know, Mercury like to deal with puzzles, and Mercury like to dib and dab into instructions. But air itself just likes to communicate and analyze. And it could just be into thought, talking to yourself, or relating to another person. Now this is mutable air. Being mutable and being able to adapt to its own or other people's ways of thinking and communicating and analyzing. You see what I'm saying? So it's mutable. So mutable signs come to broad perspectives. You see what I'm saying? They like to see how you do it, how others may do it. Then they look how they do it. Then they come to a broad perspective of how it's supposed to be done in general. And they all do it in their elemental ways. In this one, you have Gemini, air. So mutable air is mutable, being able to adapt to its own or other people's ways of being able to think and communicate and analyze. So sorry if I said practical, I might have just said practical, but I meant to say thinking, communicating, and analyzing. You see what I'm saying? They got a mutable way of doing that. So Geminis like to see how you think, how this person may think about this subject, how they think about this subject, and come to a broad conclusion. So this will make turn Geminis into areas of life of being the jack of all trades, learning a lot of things, curiosity, being curious about a lot of things, jumping into a lot of relationships and things of that nature. It could go deep. Yeah, so, you know, Geminis come up with the broad perspective of how to communicate and relate and analyze in general for the collective conscious. Now, it's also ruled. Now, it's also co-ruled by by Hades. It's also co-ruled by Hades. And what I call Hades, you can say the star constellation or whatever like that, but what I call this, because it's opposite to Sagittarius. Sagittarius is co-ruled by the center of the Milky Way galaxy, which is the black hole, which we would call Sagittarius A or something like that. But for the most part, Gemini's opposite, so I like to say it's ruled by, if that was to be the heavens, then Hades, and then the Hades, is this a coincidence that the star constellation kind of slide in Gemini also? And that's a coincidence right there, you know what I'm saying? Y'all could do y'all research on the Hades constellation. We ain't gonna get to y'all evilish two-sided snake serpent ways. This ain't the video for that right now, but for the most part, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, we're gonna say it's co-ruled by Hades, and by me saying that, for the sake of this video, I'm meaning as in the opposite of the center of the Milky Way galaxy, being in the, pointing in the opposite direction of the black hole. So what happens here is, if the black hole was to represent the full totality of wisdom and the experience, and having wisdom of the full experience, and having kind of being able to perceive full knowledge, then Hades, or facing away from it, or the opposite end, well, I would say Gemini is co-ruled by this aspect, not caring about the heavens and wanting to be curious about all the little details, and wanting to be curious about and indulging into all the little things, and wanting to relate. You see what I'm saying? And relate and communicate and indulge and participate into all the things that doesn't deal with the broad reality of it from a broad perspective as a heavenly approach. And then when I say heaven, I don't want you in Hades, I don't want y'all to get the lost in the religious aspects of it. Look at it like this: a heavenly person be a person who want to detach from all physical things and don't want to indulge, not even with anybody, and go close themselves off in a room, dark room, all alone, and detach from the world. You see what I'm saying? Now, so say that's a black hole type of person, and let's say the Hades type of person will be, that'll drive a Hades person crazy. You mean to tell me I can't pick up the phone, I can't go out, I can't go relate, I can't communicate with nothing, I can't associate with nothing, I can't, you see what I'm saying? How I'm gonna learn, how I'm gonna gain information without no curiosity, without indulging, without doing anything. You see what I'm saying? So look at it like that, but don't look at it like, okay, the Gemini is the Hades person and the Sagittarius is the black hole person. I'm just trying to give you a perspective that's away from the religious aspect of you thinking it's heaven and hell. You see what I'm saying? I just need you to think about it more as a concept. The black hole will be more of a person that's trying to have wisdom all the time about a circumstance or a situation, and about the experience. The Hades person to be the person that actually creates the experience, create that circumstance. You see what I'm saying? Without, and just stumbling over being curious. You see what I'm saying? Now, also, it's left brain. So, it's left brain. Gemini's left brain. So, air represents the yang. So, what is yang? Yang represents the external, and like the realm we can see. Now, what is the left brain? Left brain represents logic. You see what I'm saying? Practicality, which we can logically understand, and things of that nature. And it also represents the yang and the external realm. So, as air signs in general, and then Gemini specifically right here, these people like to think, communicate, and analyze, and relate, and actually communicate about the things that they see, the people that they're relating to, the things that they have. Excuse me. And you see what I'm saying? They like to think, communicate, and analyze about the external realm and things of that nature, and technology and science and everything of that nature. This is what air signs and specifically Geminis like to do. They like to think, communicate, and analyze about the external realm, because it's a yang and left brain. So it's more action orientated and expressive, and it's more expressive with the world, and it's relative with the world, and the world expressions that it received from other people, places, and things. And last but not least, is backed and supported by the stars of Taurus, because the space and the area of location when the time you was born, and you are a Gemini, that area, space, and location right now, the stars of Taurus has moved there. So as a Gemini and the archetype that I just explained to you, right, it is being backed and supported by the lights and the influence of the stars of Taurus. Now what does that mean? This means that your mutable way of thinking, communicating, and analyzing is being backed and supported by Earth, fixed Earth, being fixated on your own way of thinking, communicating, and not communicating, but thinking and being practical, right? So it's your own fixated way of, you're being backed and supported by your own fixated way of thinking and being practical. Also, Earth, about scheduling, routine, shape, form, physical thing, nourishment, and growth, and reality. Also, in Venus, love, appreciation, value, compromising, indulging, moderation, but the people, places, and things that you may value. You have all that energy back in supporting your mutable way of thinking, communicating, and analyzing. And that's Gemini in a motherfucking nutshell. Flight boss, bitch. So you can look at it like this. Now so you are a person who has a mutable way of thinking, communicating, and analyzing. But the things that you are thinking, communicating, and analyzing is about practicality, growth, stability, growth, value, relating, communicating, analyzing, art, wording, craft, music, all things that's wrapped around Venus and Earth. These are the things that you're able to think, communicate, and analyze about. And when we say communicate, you can communicate in all kind of ways. Poetry, music, wording, astrology, you see what I'm saying? Science. Shoot, y'all got the motherfucking world in y'all hands right now down here in Hades. Flight boss, bitch, goddamn air.